and good evening, and welcome back to the Arsenal Women's Chat Show, where, as you can see, I'm joined by my lovely guests in front of me. So I'll obviously introduce them all, and then we've got a lovely little rant for you all. Obviously, as you heard, yesterday's game was postponed, but we'll get into that. And before that, I'll obviously introduce my guests. So, Paul, how are you?
Yeah, pretty glad I didn't have tickets yesterday, so didn't have to make the long drive.
Yeah, I was glad myself that it wasn't one of the ones that I had decided to obviously pencil in, because that would have been a lot of money going from Scotland to obviously Crawley and then it being cancelled. And then, of course, I think I would have been a lot more annoyed than some of the ones that obviously did go there yesterday. And, of course, one of those people was the lovely Amanda. Amanda, how are you feeling?
Annoyed as hell. Yeah, pretty annoyed. It's only an hour and a half for me, but still, it was a bit of a crap drive, and the weather was rubbish, and then it felt really late. But yeah, hey ho.
Yeah, as I say, we'll obviously get into discussing that. So before you get into your rant, then we'll obviously introduce everybody else first, okay? Austin, how are you?
I'm not too bad, and I have to thank my lovely girlfriend for not making me go yesterday, because if it weren't for her taking me out for dinner, then I would have gone yesterday. So thanks to her, I didn't go.
And nobody wants an Austin rant, do they?
No, because I am fuming on behalf of everyone that did go.
I think a lot of us that obviously weren't there yesterday are fuming for the ones that did make the effort to obviously go. And yeah, Kev, how are you?
Considering all that's gone on over the weekend, I'm all right. Looking forward to next Sunday, because obviously I can't justify going to all these midweek games, so I shall be missing Wednesday night. But
you're missing Wednesday because your missus said you weren't to go. That's why you're missing Wednesday. Don't blame it on anything else. We know you're in the doghouse with your missus. That's why. So yeah, Paul, you want to go through the comments and see who's obviously in for me?
Yeah, we got Josh in. Hi, Josh. Who else? Chris. Evening, and Dorian in today as well.
Hello, guys. I hope you're all well. Yeah. So if you obviously want to join in the rant with us about yesterday's waterlogged pitch, or has any opinions on anything against the panel tonight, then please join us in the chat. And also as well, make sure you like and subscribe as well to the channel, because I think we're up to the 300s now, and I genuinely think we deserve more than 300. Do you know, think, guys?
100%. The amount of work that's put into the shows, definitely.
Definitely. So, obviously, we'll talk about yesterday's waterlogged pitch, as many Arsenal fans know, and as many Arsenal fans are annoyed at the fact that the game was called off. I think it was an hour and 20 minutes before kick-off that obviously the pitch had been inspected and that it was obviously going to be called off, which for me, as someone that wasn't doing the travelling and going, I think that was a little bit unacceptable to be doing that solely on considering. Amanda, I'll come to you, because you were obviously one of the ones that was already at the ground or heading towards the ground when the postponement announcement got put out. What's your opinions on that postponement?
I was a bit surprised, because I was checking, because obviously it's been torrential since Christmas, hasn't it? So I was checking, and usually if something's going to get postponed, you usually get there's a pitch inspection at whatever, and you can kind of maybe make a judgment at that point. But there was nothing. There was no, or I hadn't heard any whispers about it at all. So left as normal. I feel quite lucky that it's only an hour and a half. For me, it could have been a lot worse, but it was still a pretty crappy drive because of the weather and the M25 anyway, and I got there, got parked, and just checked my phone, and seen it was postponed, and I just I was raging because a million other things could have been doing on the Sunday, and just for me, I don't mind it being postponed because weather's weather, but I think it was just way too late. Obviously it's not. I don't think it's Arsenal's fault at all. It's whoever's done it on behalf of Brighton, I guess. That it's not not a full rant, but I'm about 70% rant.
Yeah, I think for most people it was obviously about the. I know obviously people say, oh, you should never worry about the money that you spend when you're supporting your football club, but in terms of that, the lateness of that being coming out so late, I would have been so annoyed if I'd have made the travel from Scotland and then an hour and 20 minutes to the game. It's called off for an hour and a half, however long it was still a short amount of time that the game was called off. Kevin, you were obviously another one that made your way over to Crawley, and of course, I think you said you were in the pub at the time when the announcement was made that the game was called off. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I'd already actually caught a Tim Stillman tweet about they were taking the plastic covers off because the ground the pitch had been covered. But the problem was the water got under the covers. So Crawley did their best, sort of, but failed miserably. But as I said, I have been in that situation as a referee in the past where I've turned up and gone, you are joking. So I can see it from all sides, but I won't very happy as I've been in the pub since 11:10. That'd be fine. And I normally, because I only ever have the one when I'm driving, but there's normally a few hours between me having that and then having to negotiate the motorway. But yesterday, obviously, there wasn't that amount of time between it. But it is what it is. The only problem is, obviously, trying to reschedule that game is going to be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, obviously we'll get into the schedule later on, and obviously my questions. But Paul, do you think that was maybe best to call that game off yesterday simply for, obviously the main focus is player safety, but as we discussed before we come live, most of the pictures that we are seeing is from the sidelines, not from the actual pitch. So we don't from that actual pitch we can't see how waterlogged that pitch is. But from the tweet that Tim Stillman put out was that the officials were on the pitch and bouncing the ball, and the ball was moving perfectly fine on the pitch, which is obviously the most important piece of play that we need is a pitch. Do you think that was a decision based on player safety or just from what was seen on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way they were doing that pitch inspection from the reports. The pitch was fine. It was the edges and apparently a couple of the corners were quite bad. But I'd say from what I've read, about 90% of the pitch was fine. So it's a difficult one for the ref to call. But if he didn't call it the way he did and a player went over and injured themselves, did their ACL or something, major like that, then it's going to be that, well, why didn't he call the game off? You could see the pitch in that area was bad. I'll go back a couple of years to also at Crawley when our game was postponed because of that frozen pitch. I was on my way to that one and I diverted off and went to Chelsea-Liverpool instead. And it was abandoned at 6 minutes because part of the pitch was frozen. They tried to get it underway, but the players were complaining. So in a way, it was better to do it as he did than get all those players on the pitch, get all the fans in the stadium, only for a few minutes down the line, the players to be saying, look, this isn't safe. We need to call this off. And they've gone through the whole warm-up routine and everything and get further down down the procedure. But it's really annoying that it's happened again at the same ground that it happened to us on a few years ago. And yeah, we're now talking top level football in the women's game, and why isn't it treated the same as the men's game? You look at that effort that was put in to get the Grimsby game on in the men's FA Cup and get that one going. You know, the money that the FA pumped into getting that game on, purely because it was on TV, I think. Why isn't that the same money being invested in the women's side?
But then ours was also on TV yesterday. It was supposed to obviously be on BBC, and that for me, I'm really surprised that BBC didn't obviously push to get that game on, because obviously the money that was put in. Talking about obviously Grimsby's ground and how that game went ahead, but with 90% of a pitch still playable for us in the WSL wasn't, which is baffling me more. Austin, I'll come to you. Obviously, like as Paul touched on, that's obviously the second postponement that Arsenal have faced at this ground. And of course, there's been many other games throughout the last couple of seasons that have been postponed. What do you think the WSL needs to do in terms of going forward to stop these postponement happening? Because in my view, it's obviously like say that Meadow Park, Crawley. These are smaller grounds that don't have the groundsmen such as like the Emirates would have, or these big Premier League grounds would have. What do you think the WSL needs to do more to obviously stop this from happening in these smaller grounds going forward in the future?
Yeah, so I think so. You have to bear with me because obviously I'm still learning the whole women's football, WSL, and everything. I am still learning. I'm an honest man, but like what you said about what the WSL has to do, it's one of those things. I think the main key issue within it was the fact of how it was scheduled, like not scheduled, but how the decision was made. So, you know, like what Amanda was saying about how normally you'd get, you know, a tweet or something that would say a pitch inspection is being made for this time, and they'll keep you updated time and time again. And the fact that the updates weren't coming in until that very final decision of, boom, the match has been postponed, when people have travelled down there. I think that's one of the key frustrations in the whole thing. In terms of what Paul was saying about how, you know, why haven't they got the same financial cover when it comes to, you know, making sure these games go ahead, when you get that in the men's games. And the thing is with, you know, we all know that everyone is trying their absolute hardest to make women's football huge, as much as it already is. But you can't make it huge when you're getting postponement after postponement after postponement. Whereas with the men's, I actually can't remember the last time a men's game was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, so there is something that the WSL need to, you know, they need to talk to whoever it is they talk to, you know, and whatever it is they do, and they need to get things sorted on behalf of not just the players, but the fans as well. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And I think that was one of the discussions that me and George had off of any group chats, that the main thing for us fans was mostly communication. There was no communication whatsoever throughout the day. Now, Kev, you were one of the people at 9 o'clock in the morning that was saying, what a log pitch. Now, if we could see that as fans at 9 o'clock in the morning, why couldn't the officials or anybody at the ground say, listen, this is going to need to be inspected, and you're going to need to put something out to communicate to these fans. It's down to you. If you want to head to this ground, in terms of this game possibly being called off, that's your decision. That's not us as a club or Crawley or whatever. That's not down to us. We're just giving you the communication that this inspection is going to go ahead and the game may possibly be called off. I think that was the biggest upset for most fans yesterday, was that we could all see at whatever time we seen that other people were saying a waterlogged pitch, but the only people that couldn't see that was whoever dealt with the pitch inspection. Now, I don't know if obviously that was down to the officials to decide that. We're wondering that ourselves. Who makes these final decisions? Is it down to the FA? Is it down to the officiating? Is it down to
the club? It is down to the home club. If they have any suspicions whatsoever, they can call on a local referee to come in at 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, to do a pitch inspection as a referee. And I've seen that done locally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Kev, can you come down and look at our pitch before, you know, everyone travels? And you go down and have a look. And you assess the state of the pitch, and you assess the state of the weather and think, it's closed now, it's torrential rain, forget it. You know, but that is it. It is down to the club to get that pitch inspected. But as I said earlier, because they'd got the pitch covered, they thought they were going to get away with it. But obviously there was a failure somewhere with how they covered it, because the water seeped underneath. The problem with postponements at these grounds is you are never going to get the level of drainage at these lower league grounds. That's what you got to remember, is Premiership grounds have got such fantastic drainage, but you're never going to get that because the outlay is horrendous.
Kevin, obviously, since
when they build the ground.
Since we're obviously on that subject of talking about drainage, do you think this is where maybe, like, say that Arsenal, we know Arsenal pump money into Meadow Park to obviously get Meadow Park up to where it is at now, simply because of all the money that Arsenal bring in through Meadow Park. But do you think, in terms of, like, you think of where Tottenham play, you think of where Brighton obviously play, do you think it's down to these clubs to pump more money into these smaller grounds so that the women had better pitches to play on?
When they're playing at places like Meadow Park, Crawley, yes, obviously Tottenham have got the upper hand there, obviously playing at Leighton Orient, because it's a better setup, it's a bigger setup. But yeah, again, it's all about investment and return.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily financial return, but as in level of support, putting it out there. Yeah, but they've got to see something from it. Otherwise, it's just no point. I mean, as a club, Arsenal play so many games at Bournemouth, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's between the women and the academy.
Yeah.
And obviously under 21s and stuff. So I think that should, as I say, I think that's where teams such as like WSL teams have to pump in more money into these grounds, as well as obviously the club themselves that their own team play on. They have to come to a joint decision in terms of, right, how much money can we pump into this to make sure that this doesn't happen going forward. For me personally, that's what I think WSL teams should do. If they're going to be using these smaller grounds that don't have simple drainage, pump money into that ground and let it out for however long you have to let that out to then remake your money back from the fans or realistically from anything else. Obviously, going past that a little bit, Amanda, I'll come to you. The Brighton men were away to Anfield the day before, obviously, in the FA Cup. That should have been a game that should have been played at the Amex, don't you think?
Completely. I think, I think it feels like the WSL is a bit of a tipping point. You know, they need to decide. as like a collective, because obviously we've got all our home games, WSL at the Emirates this year, and hopefully again next year, because I think it's been phenomenal, like 30,000-40,000 at some of the games. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, if the Amex was free and available, why on earth didn't we just get the game on there? I mean, I went earlier in the season, I went up to the Leicester game. They played at the King Power, and there was like 5 Leicester fans there, but we were all there. And it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
The pitch was great. It was awesome. Like, it was a really great experience. So people that worry about all the grounds will be like 3/4 empty, doesn't matter. Like, it was still a real buzz, and you get the good pitch experience. So for me, I think there needs to be a decision made. The smaller grounds like this one from yesterday, either, like you said, you've got to pump some money in, or clubs need to find either their primary men's ground needs to be scheduled, or they need to upgrade, like you said, perhaps somewhere more like where Tottenham play, which is more of a middle ground, because this just makes the women's game, in my opinion, look a bit amateur, like an hour and a half till kickoff. Like you said, like, when was the last time you remember a man's game getting called off like that, particularly an hour and a half to go? So I think it's a really poor show.
Yeah, for me, like I was saying to George as well, like we want the women's game to be taken seriously in situations like this. Men are still looking and possibly going an hour and a half to go, and you called off a game. Like, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing for the women's sport, and it annoys me. And I don't really have a right to be annoyed, simply because I wasn't a fan travelling to that game yesterday. But I'm annoyed for the fans that did put out money, and then obviously the game gets called off. Now, Paul, I'll obviously come to you on this one. Now, this is another game that we have in hand, and now we have a packed schedule already. What impact do you think this is going to have on, obviously, the Arsenal schedules that we have going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to play havoc with the schedule. I mean, we're pretty much guaranteed to be in the quarterfinal of the Champions League unless something dreadful happens on Wednesday night. So there's 2 more games guaranteed. We're playing that small team in Chelsea again that will last. So there's semi-finals, and we already know that the Everton game's going to get moved when we get into the semi-final of the Champions League. So we're just going to have game after game after game every midweek, every weekend, which, okay, that's our success. We're competing in the FA Cup still, the Champions League, and the league as well. But imagine if this was next season. The WSL's expanding, so we're going to have an extra 4 games. We've also got this World Club Cup thing again in January that they're talking about, which we're already in as champions of Europe. So that's going to mean 3 games, I think it is, potentially getting moved somewhere. So, if they don't hurry up and sort this problem out, then the successful clubs, and this could be any one of the top 3 that qualifies for Europe. This could happen too, because if you look at it, let's say the top clubs that are in Europe this year, Man United, Chelsea, and us, in the FA Cup as well, and then there's the Subway Cup, which, okay, next year these teams won't be in, but we're all progressing further and further in Europe. We're all progressing in the FA Cup. We're expanding the WSL, so it's just going to be problem after problem for the clubs at the top, which are the ones that are genuinely playing most of their games at the bigger stadiums. So it's the smaller clubs, when we're playing away, that are going to cause the problems for the bigger clubs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Paul. Austin, as well, this is going to have a major impact on player rotation, isn't it? Like, you think we're still in the FA Cup, we're still in the Champions League, we've obviously still got second place to fight for. That's going to have a major impact on these players as well, ain't it? Especially when we've just got Chloe Kelly back, and now Beth Mead is out, which is now looking, obviously, with the game coming up, Olivia Smith is now going to be suspended for. Like, that's going to have an impact on Chloe Kelly, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, exactly. The thing we all know about like postponed games is and whatnot is fitting them in somewhere, you know. And you're saying about obviously with the player rotation and whatnot, it's going to cause havoc for anyone because you've got to look at how how tight these things are going to be, and I totally agree. It's mad. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Obviously, for the full panel, I'll obviously ask right across, and anyone can chip in here. Do you think these rescheduled games are going to have an impact on the title race for us, obviously chasing for second space?
No.
I think it's in our favour, personally.
Paul, I
'Cause we
seen you
know-
shaking yes. You want to elaborate on that one?
I think what it'll do is it'll obviously we know we're only going for second place rather than the title this year. I think the concentration will be on the Champions League and the FA Cup this year, and when we get, she'll obviously want to win every game, but as we get through and we start to pull away from the likes of Spurs and that, I can see her potentially rotating a little bit in the league to give a bit of preferential treatment to the Champions League and the FA Cup, where we've actually got more chance of winning a trophy.
Yeah. I don't know how I actually feel about obviously these rearranged games and where we're going to fit them in and how players are going to obviously feel, but I'm sure we could obviously talk about the postponement and the impact it is going to have on Arsenal going forward at the moment. So I won't, obviously, we've rambled on about half an hour on whole pitch postponement. It's obviously an upsetting situation. Paul, before I move on to Wednesday's game, do you want to read out any comments or anything, or call out anything that we may want to discuss before we move on?
General comments about it being why wasn't the game moved to the Amex, which we've sort of covered, and a couple of comments about the financial side. That's why it was left so late on there. And Catherine said it would be Everton and Villa would get moved, rescheduled for being in the semi-finals of the Champions League. So yeah, even more games.
Yeah.
Blimey.
So I'll move on to Wednesday's game if that goes ahead, considering there is slight rumours that Meadow Park may also be in danger as well. So as we know, Arsenal are 4-0 up on aggregate, and for me this one we could probably rotate heavily again, I think, and give players the rest that they need to get. Kev, I'll come to you in this one. Do you think Winnie will heavily rotate in this one, or will she stick with obviously the team that's obviously been warmed up for Brighton, which we don't know what team that was going to be? We had questions over that as well.
I think we'll see players that haven't been starting. Dependent on the surface. We're back to the surface again. But I would have expected to see Kyra playing on Sunday. So possibly just to get some game in her legs, because she's obviously going to go back to Australia, whether she's playing for the Matildas or not during this international break, and for the Asian Cup. But yeah, I think we won't see a full strength team. Yeah, we will get some rotation, but obviously some of the players that would have been rotated in won't be. Obviously Taylor Hines won't be in because she's injured as well now. So I mean, we're stuck for wingers. But yeah, midfield will probably change, and possibly back four. I mean, apart from the fact that we've only got one left back at the moment. But yeah, it won't be a full strength side. I think she'll save the stronger side for the weekend for the FA Cup.
Yeah, that's obviously Bristol that will obviously be playing there, but I don't think she needs to field a strong team there either. Which, in terms of like Kimmy Little, Steph Catley, stuff like that, I don't think they need to be playing games such as Bristol, simply because I'd like to obviously see a lot of Webb and Moy and Leah obviously start building that relationship up before Steph Catley goes away to the Asia Cup. Amanda, do you think these two games coming up are the perfect time for Leah and Lotta to start together?
I do. I think you could pretty, without being disrespectful, it's probably pretty fair to say that these are two of the maybe slightly easier games that we're likely to have coming up potentially. Obviously, we've got 4-0 up already on Wednesday, so fingers crossed that should be all right. But yeah, I definitely think so. I think rotate as much as she can without obviously ruining momentum, though. That's the thing, isn't it? We're on quite a good vein of form. Obviously Mead's out, we know that. Taylor Hines, I don't know, I didn't hear if Stina was due to be back or not, but I think she was still injured, so the options are probably reasonably limited anyway. But I definitely think it's a good opportunity for Lotta and Leah to start really gelling these next two games, because they could probably control it quite nicely, so it'll be good for them.
Yeah. Obviously, Paul, we'll obviously touch on Leah and Chloe as well. We did touch on Chloe a little bit in terms of injury, and now we're Beth Mead down, and again Olivia Smith obviously being suspended for this game. We need to be careful with Leah and Chloe, don't we? Because they're still coming back from injury. We still have to be careful with their minutes. Leah, if she starts, it's fine. We can replace her with Steph Catley and take her off, or we can replace her with Laia Kadina, or like, what do you think Renee has to do with their minutes in terms of Leuven or Bristol?
I think for Leuven, obviously Chloe would need to start because we've got so many of the other forwards and wingers out, either injured or suspended. But you have got the option, obviously being 4-0 up. If you left Mariona on the bench, you've got the option to bring her on for Chloe on the left-hand side, maybe at the hour mark or something. So you're still limiting Chloe's minutes. You're also giving Mariona a bit of a rest as well, so she's not thrown into the full game. I mean, Smith picked up that cheeky yellow card, so she got the suspension out of the way.
Do we think that decision was smart, or do we think it's not as smart as a decision now that Beth Mead is obviously injured?
I think at the time it was quite smart. Get the suspension out of the way so you're guaranteed to be able to play against Chelsea. But now with the injuries that we've got, we're looking a little bit slim up front. But we're 4-0 up, so yeah, I can't see that being a problem.
Yeah. Austin, I've obviously come to you. I actually forgot that Mariona can play on the wing until Paul mentioned it there. I'm really surprised that no one else in the comments has mentioned that Mariona can actually play out there. But me personally, I'm not a big fan of Mariona being out in the wings. I prefer her coming through the middle. What's your opinion on that one?
No, I agree. I agree with you. You'll hear that a lot in today's show, by the way, is I agree, I agree, I agree. But I actually do agree what you said. That I prefer her in running down the middle. I mean, first of all, I'd like to apologise to you, Laura, for making you deaf last week as well, because that was a brilliant game. I made her deaf. But yeah, no. Yeah, I agree with you
I
on that
don't know.
one.
I don't know if you already know, Austin, but I am deaf. Well,
Yeah, well, even more.
I think you could make that any worse.
That's me done. See you later. Cancelled. I'm cancelled. So
Stuck your foot right in that one, didn't
yeah. No, but thanks, Laura. But no, but anyway,
Sorry, I flustered you there.
yeah. You've set Kellogg's boy off now. But yeah, no, Mariona in the mid, like running down the middle, is better for the team. And like what you're saying, going back on obviously the rotation for Wednesday's game, I do feel that where we are 4-0 up in aggregate against Leuven, it is one of those things where we have, like you all said, there's not that opportunity. Like we haven't got that many players to try out. You know, we're very limited on the players. But it's the perfect opportunity to be putting players out there that we don't normally play, and then seeing how they play and basically working out where they would fit into the squad on other match days.
Yeah. Obviously, I can see that Mark... Hello, Mark. I hope you're well. Obviously, I can see that Mark has said, can they recall Jessie Gale, which is doing fantastic at Bristol, and of course won't play against us in the FA Cup, which I think if I was Arsenal, I would be glad that she's not playing in that game because she's currently on fire at Bristol City. But for me personally, I would want to recall Jessie Gale for that reason. She's doing really well. And then, of course, we bring it back to Arsenal, and we know for a fact that Renee is going to pick the players, the senior players that she has around her before she then looks to her academy players. Kevin, I'll obviously come to you on that one as well. Like, do you agree with that, or have you got a different opinion on that one?
No, she's best to stay where she is. She's getting the game time. She's getting the experience, and she's banging in goals. It's too soon, probably, to bring her back in anyway. And yeah, we're not struggling to score goals. Well, we're not struggling to create chances. We've got the players to bang them in. It's just comes down to that confidence malarkey. So there's no panic.
Yeah,
no panic at all.
So you're not panicking.
That would only be a panic move. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree there, Kev. I think that would be a panic move if we recalled her, and then of course that, as I say, that stumps her progression that she's obviously having at Bristol City. Obviously, Catherine's mentioned as well that Smeela can also play in the wing. We're worried about these wingers, and we're forgetting that Smeela can play in the wing and Mariona can play in the wing, and so what we're worrying about, we're perfectly fine. So we are.
We don't want Mariona on the wing though.
No, I do agree there, Austin. I definitely. I'm not a big fan of her on the wing. I'm not. I'm really not. Even though she's obviously not where she's supposed to be on the pitch at the moment. She's obviously still really, really doing well. She's starting to, for me, Mariona's starting to obviously come up to the standards that we expect from her in terms of her playing out a position at the moment. Amanda, Bobby or Daphne Van Domsler? That is the question I have for you.
Jesus.
If Bobby is fit and available,
I'd like to see her given another chance because she was doing so well. And then she got just taken out, and then obviously the protocols have kept her out. But then, Daphne has done well since she's been back. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Pass.
Will I pass it on to Kev, since Kev's a goalkeeper and would like to answer that since he's trying to wait up there?
Phone a friend.
Because she's had such a long layoff, I'd have Van Donselaar in goal because she needs to get back into it. And then we've got 2 top-class goalkeepers on the go, which is what you want.
Yeah.
Which I see a post earlier on today about No Dick and how that fell through. I said, well, probably because she didn't fancy the 3rd choice gig. You know, so why would she come?
I'm sorry, it's the way he said that.
We're not going to start.
Some
with
people's minds are just born to be in the gutter.
She didn't want to be dicking about, that's why. So there you go. Paul, if we get any comments, you want to dig up any comments before I move on to the last section of the show?
Yeah, Catherine has put a curveball in and suggested the new keeper.
Which I wouldn't be annoyed if we gave her a start.
No, I wouldn't. I think either this game or the Bristol game could be a good one for her. Dorian suggested Pelova on the wing with Samil right back to rest Fox. Is another option.
It could be a.
There's plenty of options for players to play slightly out of their preferred position, but somewhere they're still comfortable in playing. I think is my thoughts there. A bit like the Olivia Smith playing as the number 9 against City.
That seems to be Renee's thing, though, but doesn't it? She likes the versatility of players that she has. Even though if we haven't specifically seen that player playing that position, like we haven't obviously seen Olivia Smith play as a number 9 before, but until now, Renee has obviously made that position something that Olivia Smith could possibly make hers going forward, or it could be something, like I say, that I specifically don't want us to overuse it because I want us to use it as a weapon against teams that don't expect it. But for me, this is maybe something where in the rebuild that Renee is obviously looking at players, i.e. like Onabaji or whatever, in terms of where she can play in the pitch. And it's for me, it's about, I'm also looking at these players and thinking, what versatility do you bring to our team? Simply because looking at previous seasons, where you look at the season we had all those ACL injuries, and we're looking at that bench thinking, where do we put these players? Because they're not as versatile, but we're obviously starting to see versatility in the team that we have at the moment. So we do. Any more questions, Paul? And then I can move on.
So pretty much it, I think, has come through. Yeah. Just let me see if I scroll up. Yeah, I think we're pretty much there.
No worries. So obviously we're coming to the last part of the game. The last part of the podcast, the last part of the game. We haven't even played the game yet.
I was going to say, you in the future. How's it go?
I was thinking about you playing FIFA earlier on, coming to the last part of the game. So, Austin, since we're obviously chatting at the moment, what would be your preferred starting 11 for Wednesday's game?
Oh, bloody hell, now you're asking. Now you're asking. Oh, God.
I'm flustered in these tonight.
Yeah, you've hit me in the spot there, especially as I said at the start that I'm still learning.
Will I go to somebody else to start a starting 11 and then
what we'll do? Basically, my starting 11 is 11 players on the pitch.
Okay, I'll pass this question on.
Ask the panel, and then come back to me on whether I agree. And then there we go.
Right, Amanda, you want to take over that question for Austin since he's struggling.
So, goalkeeper, I like the idea that's in the comments see what the new goalkeeper is all about.
I like that one.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Leah and Lotta to start off with. McCabe, Holberg. There's going to be some rotation with those two in the midfield, I think, probably. Definitely not Little. I think she's going to be rested. And I think Mariona will start and possibly.
So you're playing Mariona through the midfield then?
Same, I think. And I don't know who she's going to be sat there with. So hang on, let me think on that. And then obviously Chloe Kelly to start. I don't know about Stina. I'm not sure. Don't know if she's fit. Don't know how fit she is, if she's fit enough to start. Maybe Palova, and I don't think we're going to see Russo. Yeah, I don't know. Question mark. Yeah, that's as far as I can get.
You're not starting Alessia Russo on the striker show?
No, I want to start her, but I don't know. I think she probably needs a rest as well. I don't know. Maybe she'll start and come off maybe half time or hour. I don't know. Does anyone know about
Yeah, the last update we had from the club was that Stina was obviously still out. In terms of Stina, we obviously won't get that update.
I was going to say, ask Darren. Darren is Stina's biggest fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Darren knows everything about Stina, so I bet you he doesn't know that one about Stina, though, whether she's fit or not.
Yeah, I mean, even if she is fit, she's not going to be fit for the full 90, is she?
Yeah, she's not going to. For me, I don't think Stina starts that one either, even if she is fit. Paul, do you agree with Amanda?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, our front line almost writes itself if Stina is out. Ford, Russo, and Chloe are literally the only three that we've got available at the moment with the suspensions and things. So I'd start those three, but then you've got options. Like we said earlier, you can play Palova, you can play Mariona out on the wing if you have to for those last sort of 20, 30 minutes and things. But I'd like to see Holmberg get a start and give Fox a rest, and definitely like to see Leah and Lotta start again with the option that you've got people like Steph Catley and Laia Cadena available to come on, so they're not playing the full minutes, especially with Leah with her coming back, and we need to manage her minutes and get her back gradually because we don't want to rush her back and cause more problems. Obviously, the left back sort of writes itself as well because we've only got Katie at the moment.
Yeah,
but yeah, we've got these two games and she can rotate across both of them now before going into the international break.
Yeah, Taylor's obviously another one that we're awaiting on, obviously an update on what's going on there. The last I seen, she wasn't in a boot anymore, and that she was obviously recovering really well. So hopefully that one's not going to be as long as we think that one's going to be. But hey ho, we know Katie can obviously play the games that she can play, simply because we look at Katie last season and the amount of game time that she played then. For me, obviously, Katie McCabe has dropped a little bit of pace this season and isn't really showing the signs that she has done previous seasons. But you know what? It's something we're going to have to stick with at the moment. Kevin, do you agree with the other starting 11s, or do you want to change?
I would go Daff because, like I say, she needs to get back into it. Back for Katie, Lotta, Leah, and Holmberg. Midfield's always going to be the one, isn't it? So Cara needs minutes for various different reasons. Palova, I'd like to rest Mariona, but yeah, I don't think you can. And then the front three does pick itself because we've got nothing else. So Fordy, Russo, and Chloe Kelly. And then you just keep your fingers crossed that nobody tweaks anything. But
My
then
fingers
obviously
will
once
go until it be
the
crossed.
Bristol game's out of the way, you've got a break.
Yeah. Austin, do you want to add to any of that, or do you agree?
I agree. No, on a serious note, I saw a comment by Dorian, right? And I listen to Dorian. Dorian helps me out a lot when it comes to the women's, as well as George, right? And Dorian's key point here is where he says that you could start Pullover on the wing with Smealer and then rest Fox, because Pullover can cut inside, which is similar to Beth, which we have seen. So I agree with that statement. There might be some people here that don't. That I'm not 100% ball knowledge, women's football, normally George or Dorian or you, Laura, that's helping me out the most when it comes to it. But no, I do agree with the lineup. Like I said earlier, it's all about playing the players that you don't really play that often and then seeing how they play.
Yeah. Obviously, Mark has said about playing the three Aussies as they go off for a month. I don't really know, simply because, as I say, Mark, I'd rather we start getting Lotter and Leah back into a rhythm of playing together when Steph obviously goes away for that month, if they're away for that month. Yeah, that's just my opinion, and I agree with most of your starting 11s there, guys. So obviously, before we go and end the show, I want to get your predictions. Obviously, I would like us to keep up the tempo of the game in terms of blowing the aggregate out the water and keeping the momentum high. So I'll go with my prediction first, and then I'll ask everybody else what their predictions is. And I personally think we're going to go... I think we'll get another 4-0 win. And obviously I'll ask you as well who your first goal scorer will be. And I think Chloe Kelly will get the first goal. So over to you, Amanda.
I'm going to be a touch more conservative and go for a 3-0. And I also agree. I think it'll be Chloe Kelly get the first goal.
Yep. Paul?
I said in another group, I think it'll be 3-0, and I think Russo get the opening goal.
Austin?
Well, at first I was going to say 0-0 because it's probably going to get postponed, but then I thought I probably shouldn't say that. Or it turned into 100 meters swim. So, no, I'm going to go with what Paul said. I think 3-0, but I'll say Chloe Kelly to score.
And Kev?
I too am going 3-0, and much as I'd love Les to score, just to piss George off, I'm going to say Caitlin Ford scored.
Oh,
You're playing a dangerous game there, Kevin.
It was a great show. I'll see you a lot later. Got to go deal with George now.
So Caitlin Ford goal assisted by Frida Marnham.
I've definitely got to go deal with George now. I'll see you later.
No, I think Paul's trying to get a reaction out of me as well as LJ. Like, I think we all know
I
how
can
I'm
feel
feeling
him
about
boiling
the man.
from here.
Yeah, I'm like, as I said the other night, give Frida her due. She played well, and credit where it is due. But as I says, is she going to provide this week for us? I don't know. We never see consistency from her, and I keep saying it, all the time. Darren, I don't know if you know, but Olivia Smith is
suspended.
So she's definitely not getting your first goal. So
That's because you
definitely
can't
not.
say Stina. That's why.
Yeah, she's like, Stina's not playing, so I'll just say Smith even though she's on the bench as well. So yeah. Obviously, thank you everybody for being in the comments and your questions and obviously your debates and whatever. And obviously as well, thank you to my amazing panel as usual that always come on or always provide for us. So thank you, Paul. And
Yeah,
you're always
yeah,
amazing.
thanks for having me. And I won't see you guys on Wednesday, but I'll hopefully catch up with you all on Sunday for the Bristol game.
Terrible that you're not going on Wednesday.
Just, yeah, work's just got in the way this week again.
Are you just scared of a postponement again? Is that what you're trying to say? Amanda, thank you very much. This is your second time on the show, and you've done absolutely fantastic again.
Thank you. I'm hoping that the match on Wednesday don't get postponed because I hope to be there. So fingers crossed.
Hopefully the game goes ahead for you and Kev. Well, obviously Kev said he wasn't going on Wednesday because he's under the thumb and likes to impress his missus. So I won't say that to Kev. But hopefully the game goes ahead for you on Wednesday, Amanda, and won't be any upset. Austin, thank you. You sound like your brother, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Do you know what I think he would have found? I think he's very offended by that comment. I think because whenever someone says that I'm like him, he don't like it. But no, thank you for having me on. Thank you for dealing with the fact that obviously I don't have 100% knowledge in the women's football scene as of yet. There's a lot of learning, but unfortunately I won't be there Wednesday because I too am in the doghouse. So. Because I didn't phone her while I was out in Leuven the day after when I had the hangover. So yeah, so
he was the one that was taking you for dinner yesterday.
Yeah, so what's that? Sorry,
I said, and she was the one taking you for dinner yesterday.
Well, I paid, but she still claims that she took me. So it's one of them ones, you know.
It's a receipt and we'll believe you.
Yeah, my wallet is my wallet is her wallet, kind of thing. So, but no, thank you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on here.
Thank you, Austin. And Kev, thank you again. Amazing as always.
Always a pleasure. And the reason I'm not there tomorrow night is because I'm afraid of being postponed.
Get the rain cover, Kev. Get the rain cover.
You're not taking Stina out for a ride because you don't want her to get wet, do you?
No, definitely not.
And if anybody's confused why we're saying you don't want to take Stina out for a ride, we're not talking about the player, we're talking about his motorcycle.
Right. I was a bit confused there.
We don't want to confuse anybody and say that Kev's taking Stina for a ride.
I have no words. No words.
Well, we're sick of talking about Dick, so why not?
Oh, Laura.
I'm going to move on, and I'm going to say, obviously, again, thank you very much, everybody. And before I go, if you could please, obviously, like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, your mum, your dad, your sister, your brother. Make sure you share it with everybody, because as I said earlier, we deserve more than 300 subscribers on the channel, so we do. And it's so about Laura. And yeah, so hopefully the game will go ahead on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll see you all soon. And it's a good night from us. Come on, you Gunners.
Good night.
Right.